everyone. I'm Anshika Srivastava from The Blank Slate, and welcome to the 7th edition of Kala Se Rubaru, our initiative to bring the arts and crafts of the country to you. Over the past few weeks, we've had people from all walks of life and different parts of the field coming together and telling us about their niche. So we've had people explaining pottery and different alternative furniture and different kinds of things. You can check our videos on our feed, on the IGE side of our feed. So this time around, we have something really, really cool. Welcoming Arjun Rathi from Arjun Rathi Design to the live. Arjun Rathi Design is a multidisciplinary studio based in Mumbai, working across different types of architecture and lighting design. So I'll add Arjun Rathi to the live. Hi.
Hi, Anshika. Nice to meet you.
How are you?
Hi, doing well.
So I was just introducing you, and so from your own mouth, tell us about your firm and the products and the services that you offer.
Yeah, so we're generally a lighting design studio with a background of architecture. So our studio has a couple of verticals where we work on architecture projects, and one of the main verticals now that's like developed into our main vertical is where we design customized lighting, and we work with architects, designers to sort of create customized fittings for their projects.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the main things that we're doing now.
Okay. So what professional route did you take in terms of education and work in that came to the inception of the studio?
It started out as a traditional architecture studio, and it started with our first building, which was actually a port administration building for the Mundra port. And in due process of that project, the project went on hold. And suddenly then we had no work to sort of do. And so I just started to design a few lamps to gift out to a few friends. And one of those lamps got printed in a magazine. And then from there, we got our first custom lighting installation. And just sort of, we enjoyed exploring materials, forms, concepts in those lighting installations. And from one lamp to chandeliers, the practice has just evolved over the years.
Oh, that's amazing. So how did the transition from an architect to a proper lighting designer come about?
I think it was really slow. A lot of learnings along the way, a lot of failures along the way. A lot of the work that we are doing, nobody's really trained you how to do it, So it's sort of been a lot of self-learning. And through that process of self-learning, learning through your mistakes, trying to improvise with the setup over here in India when it comes with manufacturing. So that took some time to understand and also sort of work with. And it's just sort of self-taught, but it's been a long and slow unlearning, relearning journey.
Okay. So would you recommend formally doing this, or just how you learned this? How you kind of worked on it and then you learned the craft. So how do you recommend?
So I think one thing that works very well for us is that due to my background in architecture, we were always thinking of spaces. And then we started only designing lighting specific to a certain space. So as architects, it became really easy for us to sort of understand what the project was, understand the brief from the interior designer or the architect. And even the way it's executed, it's more structured, within the studio. There are a lot of processes implemented, and that ensures the product also comes on a timeline. So in that sort of process of working from an architecture sort of practice, it's not very different of how architecture practices work in terms of operation. The only sort of difference is we are probably designing lighting, for you.
So what does your process look like from an idea to the inception, from the idea to the actual execution of the product?
It really varies from project to project. A lot of our projects have different timelines. Sometimes we start something on Monday. By Wednesday, the quotations are approved, and by Friday, the piece is already into production at the workshop. So sometimes we work at that 1 week pace in certain projects. And we have certain projects where we've been like designing for a couple of years and the project is just moving on slowly, So, so in terms of the product inception, it really sort of like depends. Like when we are doing customized work, the process is very different. It's more tailor-made for the site. And when we are designing, many of our products are actually a byproduct of the customized lights we've done for various projects. So due to the certain product, we then take a call whether we should release it as a product and try and mass produce it or try and market it. And so the two processes have taken some time for us to sort of like evolve and sort of set into the studio.
Okay. So what does your team look like?
So we've got like a mix of designers in the studio. We've got people from the architecture background, interior design, industrial design, product design background. And bringing all those sort of designers together, we get a very sort of a very interesting type of mindset and ideology that tends to like develop on the like design end. We also have a very good technical team which takes care, which sort of consists of site managers, electricians, technicians, fabricators. So that forms the production side of the studio.
Okay, that's amazing. So how many? So what kind of materials do you like playing with?
I think with materials, one of the like materials I'm very close to personally is casted glass, and something where we melt raw glass and we can shape it into surfaces or into shapes or forms, and we use that one material to create these very ice effect type of slabs, which then we use for lighting of a furniture. And that's been one of my favorite materials to work with. And as a designer, we've been experimenting with quite a few sort of materials with respect to lighting, sort of traditionally for lighting, crafts, woods, or if you take ceramics, these sort of materials are not that much experimented with in the field of lighting. So for us, over the past few years, we've been experimenting with these materials through various Indian crafts and also been generating lights.
So for reference, for the said material, the first material, what light would you say? Like what creation of yours can we kind of Google and see what that material is?
So with casted glass, we have a wall stone which is called the Jadim wall stone. So it's basically like a capsule shaped slab, and that's lit with an LED form behind it. The frame is in brass, and we launched a smaller version of that light at the exhibition at Raw Collaborative last year as well. So we have a couple of sizes and some colors in that as well.
Oh, okay. So what kind of a balance do you strike between prototyping and digital design? Or do you use digital design to design?
So, like a lot of our work is very hands-on work. We are usually improvising details at the workshop, trying to make things better. So, in terms of prototyping, that is very, very important to what we do. We always try and make 1:1 mock-ups of larger pieces, or that whole mock-up process is very important to our product process as well. We had launched the loop lamp a couple of years back. That like product was actually 2 years into like development even prior to the launch, and we keep on improvising and details as the product gets released. So that process tends to never really stop in for us. So the product prototyping is a very important stage. Beyond making 1:1 mock-ups, we also end up experimenting with like materials over there. We also end up experimenting with colors. We do a lot of lighting tests, and we do these 1:1 models. And we use digital representation mainly to represent the concept. So we'll use a software like a Rhino or a 3D Max to make our proposals. We'll use Photoshop and sort of like place it into the architecture of your project to sort of get an understanding of scale. So that's one of the processes we work with and how we present to our clients as well. And that's also why architects enjoy working with us, because the way we present the work is a very sort of a clear-cut communication sort of a process gets created through the drawings.
So Where does your prototyping and production and everything happen? Where is it located? And do you kind of outsource the stuff, or do everything is in-house?
So we have a very mixed style of working. Certain things are taken care of in-house, and a lot of the components, the glass components, a lot of our fabrication is also outsourced out. We work with a close network of fabricators who've been working with us for a very long time. They've been trained in the type of detailing that we like, the type of finishing that we work with. So, like, in a way, it's also really helped us out where we're not dependent on a single unit. We are working with multiple units across the country. Sometimes our like fabrication of the metal is happening in Nasik. Our blown glass is coming from Firozabad or from abroad. Our entire the wiring and the assembly is happening here in Bombay. So we sort of worked as a studio and gotten processes in place which allow us to work in this sort of remote style. So even when the lockdown sort of happened, a lot of the designers working from home within the studio could easily coordinate things because a lot of our different parts of various projects were being done in different parts of the country. And that remote way of working, we were fairly sort of familiarized with that style of working. So it didn't really sort of like change our day-to-day style of working for us.
Okay, so like how did the lockdown affect your whole business?
I think work-wise, it's affected all of us in different ways. One of the positive things I feel is that post the lockdown, there's a little bit of a wave of encouraging Indian designers and giving chances to Indian studios to sort of produce something. So I think with that, as a whole, we do have a little bit more of opportunity in the market to sort of work and sort of try and pitch for projects, pitch for lighting design works. And more so when architects are looking for Indian designers, So I think the market is very good for Indian designers to try and reach out to people and try and secure some work,
So describe a personal favorite creation of yours and how you went about creating it.
I think with the type of work we do within the studio, I'm quite close to almost everything that we sort of create and we sort of, produce in the studio. I think the first lamp which I had made, it was a recycled Ambassador headlight, which I had repurposed into a desk lamp. And that'll always be like the closest creation to your heart because it was a piece which I had personally made myself for a very close friend as a gift to him. I had vended it myself, worked on the detailing, extremely industrial in nature, but it was maybe the first light and that'll always be the closest.
Oh, that's nice. So you just celebrated 100 years of Bauhaus in your own unique way. So could you shed some light on it?
Yeah, so the whole idea of the Bauhaus was that they were creating lighting design or furniture design, product design meant for mass production. And for us in the studio, for a very long time, we were only doing customized lighting. And we did not really launch a retail collection out or like a ready product collection. And using that whole idea of Bauhaus, of how we were able to sort of mix factory processes of metal fabrication with Indian artisans doing the blown glass and sort of like combining the two to create a product. And this entire lighting collection which we created, the Bauhaus lighting collection, is a collection which can be, like mass produced in multiples. So if somebody has an order of 200, 300 pieces, the entire order can be ready in a month's time. So the entire sort of collection is designed with that detailing in mind and that type of modular construction in mind. And that's what the Bauhaus ethos was talking about like designing for mass production. And we sort of brought that out also in the forms and the like minimal nature of the work. And it's sort of our range of a techno-decorative lighting collection which we had launched with the Bauhaus collection.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that thing that kind of checks out. So how much time does it take to like create a piece? Like something like this, because you just said it does not take much time. 200 pieces in a month, so something like that when it's designed,
Yeah, so I mean, like when it comes to production time, once the production process is set, it's just about replication in terms of the process, So if we have a loop light from the Bauhaus collection that has to be recreated, say 200 times, it won't really change the time frame whether we make one piece or we make 200 pieces. It will still take its own standard 1 month. So it's about 30 to 45 days of production time is what we spend on average for most products. Also, when we are working on the customized lighting installations, on average, the products also take about the same time, for about 45 to 50 days. If it's an extremely customized installation, a lot of components are going to be imported. Those projects take longer, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. It really depends on the project cycles. For example, we are working on a 900 square foot chandelier right now in Calcutta. The design process took 6 months to complete, and the production process has been going on for a good 6 months, as the project timelines keep on changing, design changes keep on happening. And when we worked on the Lodha chandeliers, those were almost 100 feet plus chandeliers. We finished those in 22 days, based on the project timeline. So I think that's something how architecture studios work. Based on the project timeline, you all can really push things into production, use certain materials which are quick to produce, so you can plan your project in a way to meet the timeline sometimes, and that's what we do sometimes.
Okay. That sheds light on it. So, if there's one light fixture client should really have in the house, which one would you recommend?
I think something like the standing loop lamp is a very interesting fixture. That was a light which I think, in a very subconscious way, does capture a lot of the type of light quality we've seen as asked from a lot of the tier 2, tier 3 cities. So the loop lamp uses a T5 tube light. It's a very simple fitting, available in all markets. And it also gives a very nice quality of light into a room. So I personally, use just 2 standing lamps and light up my entire office cabin when I'm sort of working in the evenings. It just gives a very nice, warm sort of a feeling, and it's very functional to sort of work into as well. So that's one of my favorite products. It's extremely sleek, can fit into any corner or any passageway or any area within the house. Extremely versatile. So that's one of our favorite products.
So, fan versus pendant light or chandelier above the dining table. How do you convince your clients to, make such decisions?
I think with the number of projects we've executed with this problem or had the argument many times with the client, at some point now we've just come up with solutions. If you want to keep a fan, we have a solution of maybe 2 or 3 different lights on either side of the fan. And if you don't want to keep a fan, so we sometimes tend to show them 2 options that, without the fan, we can create this for you. With the fan, we can create this. Based on what they decide, we sort of then go ahead and create it. As much as a designer, we want to make a grand statement over the dining table. We try and respect the client's wishes of if they want to have a fan or not. They're going to live in the house after we move out of it.
Yeah. That's true. So, where do you display and eventually sell your designs?
So, a lot of our work is sold directly through contact of the studio. We are recently, retailing with a store in Mumbai called The Mill. So that's a store in Colaba, which is sort of it's a high-end fashion store and keeping some of our lighting products as well over there. Yeah. Prior to the lockdown, we were exploring retail in a big way. We were trying to set up a store in London and set up stores within India. I think we'll take that retail as the year goes along and sort of, try and reactivate it for us so we can have more display centers across the country.
Oh, okay. So are you a part of any exhibition? Do you take part in exhibitions and everything?
Yeah, we do. Last year we did almost 10 showcases actually from December to December. And the year prior to that we had 5. So showcases has been a very strong way for the studio to grow. We've been showcasing our work. It's helped us reach out to a lot of other designers in different regions, So for us to connect to architects and interior designers was our main thing because they propose the interior design or the architecture for the project. And they can visualize the lights maybe before the client can visualize it. And that was our main effort, to reach out to as many architects and interior designers we could through our exhibitions last year. Also, the exhibitions became a great sort of platform to showcase the different materials and products we had created. So based on the feedback, a lot of our work has also evolved over the years, because a lot of people are viewing the work from the client end all the way to the designer end. So the feedback was very, very sort of different. And also thirdly, with the exhibitions, just meeting other designers, showcasing their work is actually one of the best parts of the whole showcase, So learning from each other, seeing how they are experimenting with, and what potentials they see with your industry. So such sort of exchange of information over the years through different exhibitions in different parts of the country was really good. So it's a great experience, and designers must take part in showcases and have a good feedback, but also sit. So you should try and think of it commercially as well with the showcases.
So there's a question from here. What would you consider a USP for your designs?
I think the main USP for the studio would be our versatility. We are so flexible with our type of work, with the type of materials that we can use, the scale of the project that we can execute, from a single lamp to a 100-foot plus chandelier to an installation. So I think the USP is flexibility for us and how quickly we can adapt to the project.
Okay. So have you ever been plagiarized from, and how did you deal with that?
It happened a couple of times. And I think as a designer, there are multiple ways to handle it. It's a little flattering that somebody's sort of taking inspiration from your work and copying it and trying to showcase it. The other thing is that with the amount of work that's happening in the market, it's very hard to keep track if someone's copying it or not. And it's definitely a very bad feeling. So for product designers, it's very important, if you're designing a product and you want to promote it nationally and internationally, you should explore having a copyright or a design mark done for your product. It's very hard to control someone from copying it, but if someone copies it in a very visible lens and you've copyrighted the product, you have the right to challenge it, So it's better to have copyright protection than not. Whether to pursue legal action, that is something which is very subjective, If it's very situational and legal. We had explored legal action for a certain project where some of our work was plagiarized, but it's an extremely forlorn process, extremely expensive. So it's very important that if it's a very small thing, try and find a way to move on to your next concept. But just make sure you've spoken about your project when you finished it and showcased it in the public realm, so people are aware of your work. So they know that you are the one who is doing the innovation, and just sort of think of it from a positive sense and move ahead.
Okay, that's very insightful. So there's another question. What was your concept for Shikhara, and where do you draw inspiration from?
So actually, the entire Shikhara concept came from Indian architecture. So as the practice was growing, as an architect, to sort of also mentally accept that we might become into a lighting design studio was not an easy process, because we all graduate from college with the dream of starting your own studio, or you have your whole visual that now my first building's going to get done, and then you'll start with the next building. So so with lighting design, it came as an opportunity for us, and the studio was sort of exploring that. And through that process, we said, let's explore some concepts from architecture into lighting design. And Indian temples were a great fascination of for me while studying architecture as well. Mainly the proportions of the temple. And as a studio, we were researching sacred geometry in a great way to study proportions of these sacred structures and applying them into our own projects. And we said, let's apply these sacred proportions into a product. And that's how the whole Shikhara concept sort of came about, where we sort of took the 5 elements: earth, fire, wind, water, ether. And these elements are represented by a Shikhara as a form on Indian temples. But this similar form is also there in mosques, churches, and various other religious structures as well. So it just talks about the 5 elements, and taking those proportions, we sort of made the lighting installation in blown glass and metal. Also, the idea was that the Shikhara was made for a custom lighting project, and we really liked the product and were looking for an opportunity to build it. And we got selected to showcase some of our work at the Alliance Francaise Gallery in Delhi. And we said that since we are doing an exhibition there, why not just build this light and showcase it there? And so that just sort of shows that whole relationship between product development and showcases, of how there can be an opportunity sometimes when you have a unbuilt concept and you get a showcase opportunity. Build your unbuilt concept and sort of showcase it out and see how it goes.
Oh, that's a nice technique to do this. Must try. So can you tell us about the India Lightcraft competition and what the competition demands?
Yeah, so it's basically a lighting design competition where we are also sort of like opening out a brief to the design community, to like professionals, to students, to artists, to reimagine what a techno-decorative lighting fitting is. Something which can give you ambient light as well as functional light. And mainly, this sort of lighting requirement is very important in the present day, is because a lot of people are buying these residential apartments pre-done by builders, where many times the flooring is pre-done for you, the toilets are pre-done for you, and the people moving into the houses need to do minimal work. And they end up using tube lights or bulb fittings to sort of illuminate the house using the existing wiring points. And we said that why can't we create a techno-decorative fitting which is not as expensive as a chandelier, but something which is also giving functional lighting as well as ambient lighting, so people are going to spend more time at home now working. So the whole value of house becoming a 24-hour space is starting to really hold true. Prior to the lockdown, we used to leave our home by 10 o'clock for the office and come back home at, post 7 o'clock, earlier if you're one of the like lucky ones, and we were experiencing half of our home life in artificial light, at that point. The whole idea of creating a beautiful fitting which can sort of bridge that gap is what the whole sort of concept of the India Lightcraft competition is. Also exploring craft, that, can we use craft to recreate a mass producible fitting? That is something where we are trying to engage the craft community and the design community, because traditionally craft has always been used as a handicraft or objects, or it's not been used for a mass producible item in our daily homes. So for example, if you have a mass producible tube light, it's made from aluminium and the light source is a tube light over there, glass. So can we use ceramic, or can we use weaves, canes, and make the next mass producible fitting which could be sold in bulk within the country to sort of replace these tube lights, bulbs, or the LED panel lights, So that's what the whole competition is exploring craft and design.
Okay. So when is the registration deadline for this?
So the last day of submission for the entry is 7th September, and until the last date, you can email your entry. If you go to www. Yeah, so there's the brief is there on indialightcraft.com. We also have an Instagram page at India Lightcraft. So if you download it, got all the details of how you can submit. There is no real formal registration link. You just download the brief, create your entry, and follow the submission guidelines and email your entry in. And we have a great jury on board. So it would be nice to have a lot of Indian designers send in their entries, and let's see how that goes.
Yeah. So about your
firm. Are you guys
firm?
planning to send an entry into the competition? You guys should totally try from your studio perspective.
Yeah, we are always in the lookout for competition.
Yeah, just
we do have
3 weeks time. 3 weeks time. make a product which you think should be a techno decorative light, and it'll be nice to see what you guys can also create. Like a lot of one of the reasons why we also hosted a whole competition process over here, Chika, was that there are so many brands in the market right now who are just hiring designers or finding their top 5 clients who are like designers and asking them to like design a collection and using that from a marketing perspective. Here, through the competition, we want to bring that sanctity of product design back, where it's a very well thought of product judged by our peers who are very noted sort of designers and architects, lighting designers in the community who are part of the jury. They are going to like evaluate the product, and as a studio, it'll also be a great learning process for us to see with what lens they are like evaluating products and what various other international and national designers think of what a techno sort of decorative light is. So it's a very strong process. So the same two-way process will apply to anybody participating in the competition, that whole back and forth learning,
Okay. We will send an entry. You'll see an entry. So there's always a period of struggle to reach a milestone. So what has been your struggle in setting up the firm, and what has been your biggest challenge to date?
I think like one thing to like remember always is that the plateau of struggles change as you grow with your studio. Also your aspirations change, so as a young studio, your like aspirations might be met after a certain amount of time, but by the time you reach that stage, you already have higher sort of aspirations where you want to be ahead, and that process is extremely exhaustive mentally for like any design studio or an entrepreneur. And I think it's very important to keep in mind that you enjoy the process throughout that way, have patience. Things are not going to happen overnight. And that is something which you have to come to terms with. And that has been the main struggle, throughout the years, where struggles are always going to come in different ways, whether it's financial, if it's technical, operational, but how well you can be mentally equipped to sort of handle these things. These are things which you will learn along the way and only by making mistakes. So don't feel bad about making mistakes, but make sure you learn through that process. And that's probably one of the ways that we've learned in the studio.
So what was that one project of yours at the highest, at your peak, that made you feel, okay, yeah, I've accomplished it, I've arrived?
I think like those Lodha installations, what we had done, we had these 2 lighting installations. I mean, we had done, we had done lighting for quite a bit of the property for the Voltas, and for the ballroom, we had this 100 feet long plus like crystal chandelier, and that was like ironically our first time we were working with crystals as well, and we made this really long chandelier. Just the whole excitement of coordination, trying to meet impossible timelines, and the scale was so exciting, and that was one of our most fun projects we had worked with.
So what for the upcoming lighting designers out there, what is from the business side, what advice would you give them?
I think from the business end, for the upcoming lighting designers, it's just try and reach out with your products to a lot of people. Just promote your work, just like reach it out on social media. Don't stop experimenting. It's a great time to sort of create. Try and create a product which can also be internationally exported. Don't just think of the local market. Try and think globally. And I think as Indian designers, a lot of the designers don't get the confidence very early to think of their practice as a global practice. And with the whole advent of e-commerce, and it's so easy to reach out to people, the platform is just available for everybody to reach out to people abroad. So try and make your practice a global practice. Also explore the Indian market very strongly. Beyond the 4 metro cities, the tier 2, tier 3 cities are developing at a great rate. So do explore those cities. Sometimes just the country as a whole can be a very large market for you.
Okay. So what factors in the global market and the Indian market? Like, what's the difference? Like you mentioned right now. I have
Right.
to take the, like, you
So
took that into account. Yeah.
I think like from the global market and the Indian market, first thing is there are a lot of similarities in terms of how Indian designers and international designers are thinking.
Hmm.
With interior design or architecture design, it's become very aesthetic driven. So if there's a certain aesthetic that the client wants to achieve, the architect abroad or the architect within the country, they work in their own process and develop aesthetic. And as designers, when we are creating products, it's very important to just create something for the aesthetic you want to suit. So if you want to, try and cater to something which is very modernist, create a very modernist product, and you'll have
Hmm.
variety of architects who follow that modernist style in India and abroad, who you can reach out to. So
Hmm.
try aesthetic and then reach out to people globally or nationally who follow that aesthetic for your products. And I think
Okay.
trying to find similarities can be a great starting way to reach out to people. In terms of how the market works abroad and how the market works in India, we have great insights of how the market works in India, and every region is extremely different, from Mumbai, from the west to the north to the south to the east. All the four markets in India work extremely differently. And we ourselves have started just exploring work abroad. So hopefully in a few years, we'll have some feedback of how similar or different those markets are.
Okay. Wishing you luck with that. So what are you working on right now?
So we have quite a few custom lighting installations which are happening for various projects across the country. We have some projects in Hyderabad, Chennai, Bangalore, Kolkata, Delhi, Ahmedabad. And a lot
Hmm.
of them are ranging from lighting installations as really long sort of pieces for people's like double height spaces. We are also exploring a lot of craft, and we have a very interesting grid light that's going to be made from the Chennapatna craft for an upcoming project in Bangalore. So we're quite
Yeah, yeah.
excited for that project. We have like one more like lighting installation in casted brass and blown glass that's happening for a banquet in Calcutta. And the
Hmm.
surface area of that installation is 900 square feet. So it's been very challenging to sort of close the production for it throughout the lockdown as well. So some exciting projects upcoming.
So what's your next goal in the whole journey?
I think the next goal for us is to work a lot on our product packaging. Also, work like on our e-commerce platforms. I think that's the future.
Hmm.
So over the next 6 months, we are going to be trying to strengthen our packaging and e-commerce backend. Also,
Yeah.
we are trying to strengthen our production. We're trying to expand our own sort of in-house unit. So over a long-term plan, we will be trying to expand into a larger factory, which is built by us, and reduce our dependency on outsourced manufacturing. So quite a bit of things on the like production back end is what we are sort of trying to set up as a studio. Also very important to remember for sort of younger design studios right now is that a lot of investment is going to come to India in the next 5 years. So studios which have a good back end in place for production,
Hmm.
they are going to have a slightly higher edge than studios who don't have a back end in place. So
Hmm.
so it's very important to like get your production in place during these lockdown months. So post the lockdown, when the market starts opening up, you can produce
Hmm.
orders and use your time to reach out to people so you can try and generate opportunities for yourself.
Okay. Okay. So I was about to ask what would be the future, like what would you say to the future designers out there?
Yeah, I think like it sort of sums it up over there. Though I still feel that, just to add a note that, because of the lockdown, most of the designers, big, small, large firms, a lot of them are almost at like a level playing field. So it's a
Hmm.
very good opportunity for younger designers to sort of work in collaboration with larger studios or work together, take like larger projects, and just try and reach out to people, and the work is there, and don't like limit yourself to your own city. A lot of the work is outside your city, so try and find ways to attract it to you.
Okay, so this was a very insightful talk, and thank you so much for taking out time for this. Thank you for your contribution to this whole lighting design arena, and it's really nice seeing your work all the time. I've actually seen your Kiosken Ace and AD design show.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for taking the time to come here.
Thank you, Anshika, and hope you guys have a great evening.